Dealerships say they're selling a lot more bikes. It's not summer yet, but people are already breaking out their bikes. At Power Brokers in Sioux Falls, they have the inventory, but as you can see, a lot of what's out here is either marked sold or sale pending.
Trends in the motorcycle world can be unpredictable. A single design decision, a timely release, or even a cultural shift can propel a bike from obscurity to phenomenal success almost overnight. Yet, as history has shown, just as quickly as some motorcycles rise to the top, they can just as easily fade away, leaving behind little more than memories and second-hand listings. These aren't just forgotten machines. They are snapshots of eras, technologies, and bold ambitions, each one carrying with it the story of why it captured so many riders' attention in the first place, and, equally, why it could not sustain that momentum. Some were trailblazers that inspired future designs, while others burned out under the weight of their own hype. In this video, we're examining 15 motorcycles that experienced meteoric sales booms before disappearing from showrooms, revealing what made them shine so brightly and what ultimately caused them to vanish. Number 15. Honda CB350. The Honda CB350 rolled into the late 60s motorcycle scene like it knew exactly what riders wanted. It wasn't intimidating, it wasn't overpriced, and it certainly wasn't unreliable. What it offered was balance, a perfect blend of practicality and fun. With its 325 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine producing a modest but lively 36 horsepower, it gave everyday riders the confidence to hop on and go without worrying about mechanical tantrums. This was the motorcycle that opened the door for thousands of new enthusiasts. Affordable enough for the average commuter, yet spirited enough to keep weekend rides interesting, the CB350 became the most popular Honda in America at one point. In fact, it sold over 250,000 units in the US alone during its production years, a staggering figure for the era. However, the 70s brought a shift. Bigger bikes with more speed began dominating headlines, and the humble CB350 started to feel overshadowed. Honda retired it in 1974, moving on to slightly larger successors. Still, its impact never faded. For many, the CB350 wasn't just a machine. It was the spark that ignited a lifelong passion for motorcycles. Even today, its reputation for approachability makes it a cherished classic. Number 14. Kawasaki H2 Mach 4. Kawasaki's H2 Mach 4 arrived in 1972 with all the subtlety of a thunderstorm. At its core was a 750 cubic centimeter two-stroke triple that churned out nearly 74 horsepower, a jaw-dropping figure for the time. Weighing less than most rivals, it could rocket from 0 to 60 faster than just about anything on two wheels. Riders were hooked immediately, but also slightly terrified. The bike earned its infamous nickname, the Widowmaker, because of its explosive acceleration paired with sketchy handling. Twist the throttle too aggressively, and the front wheel had a bad habit of pointing skyward. Combine that with brakes that struggled to keep up, and the H2 demanded constant respect or a very forgiving guardian angel. Despite the danger, Kawasaki sold thousands. Its outrageous character appealed to thrill-seekers who wanted the wildest machine money could buy. But by the mid-70s, times were changing. Governments started cracking down on noise and emissions, and riders increasingly preferred smoother, more predictable four-stroke engines. By the end of the decade, the H2 was gone, its production lifespan surprisingly short. Still, it left a scar and a legend. Few bikes embodied pure, unfiltered chaos like the H2 Mach 4. It burned fast, bright, and unforgettable. Number 13. Yamaha RD350. The Yamaha RD350 blasted onto the scene in the early 1970s, immediately cementing itself as the darling of young, speed-hungry riders. With its 347 cubic centimeters, two-stroke parallel twin, the RD350 produced around 39 horsepower, enough to embarrass larger and more expensive motorcycles. Riders loved its feathery weight, razor-sharp handling, and ability to punch far above its class. It wasn't just transportation, it was a ticket to thrills. Nicknamed a giant killer, the RD350 thrived on the streets and the racetrack. Its affordability and accessibility ensured it reached wide audiences, and sales soared across Europe and the US. For a while, it seemed Yamaha had created the ultimate all-rounder, but the honeymoon was short. Emissions standards grew stricter, and the two-stroke engine's smoky personality didn't fit the cleaner, more regulated future. Four-stroke technology quickly became dominant, offering quieter operation, better fuel economy, and far less hassle for daily riding. The RD350, though beloved, couldn't keep up. Production continued in markets like India, where it gained cult status, but its Western chapter closed by the 1980s. Even so, the RD350 remains etched in history as a motorcycle that delivered outrageous fun in a compact, approachable package. Number 12. Suzuki Katana 1100. When Suzuki unveiled the Katana 1100 in 1981, jaws dropped. Designed by Hans Muth, it looked like it had ridden straight out of the future. With sharp lines, a hunched forward stance, and bold styling unlike anything else, the Katana turned every showroom into a spectacle. Underneath the radical looks was a beastly 1,100 cubic centimeters inline-4 engine, making it one of the most powerful production bikes of its day. Initially, riders couldn't get enough. The Katana promised both speed and style, and sales spiked. For a moment, Suzuki seemed to have cracked the code for combining raw power with avant-garde aesthetics. But the very design that made the Katana iconic also limited its lifespan. Riders were split. Some adored its futuristic edge, while others found it awkward. As the decade rolled on, sleeker and more modern bikes arrived, making the Katana feel like a relic of yesterday's future. By the mid-80s, sales had cooled, and the original Katana quietly disappeared from Suzuki's lineup. Yet, its influence never truly died. The Katana became a cult icon, celebrated more for its daring design than its commercial success. Even modern revivals pay homage to that bold 1981 gamble. Number 11. Honda Rune. When Honda unveiled the Rune in 2004, jaws collectively dropped. Built around the Goldwing's massive 1,832 cubic centimeter flat-six engine, the Rune wasn't just a motorcycle, it was a rolling statement. Sculpted bodywork, trailing link front suspension, and futuristic detailing gave it a presence unlike anything on the road. Crowds gathered around it, and dealers had waiting lists before bikes even arrived. Performance matched the looks. Smooth, powerful, and engineered with Honda's obsession for perfection, the Rune delivered a ride that felt both commanding and refined. But that perfection came at a staggering cost. With a price tag well above typical cruisers, the Rune targeted a very small audience. Once wealthy early adopters had snapped them up, demand plummeted. Honda had intended it as a halo product rather than a mass-market bike, and that strategy became obvious. After a short production run, the Rune quietly exited stage left, yet its mystique never faded. Collectors still prize it, not just for its rarity, but for its daring design philosophy. The Rune proved Honda could build something audacious, even if it wasn't meant to conquer sales charts. It remains one of the boldest moves in cruiser history. Number 10. Kawasaki GPZ 900R. The Kawasaki GPZ 900R arrived in 1984 and immediately rewrote sport bike expectations. Powered by a 908 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled inline-4 engine, it produced nearly 115 horsepower and introduced innovations like a compact frame and aerodynamic bodywork. It was the first of Kawasaki's Ninja line, and it wasn't just quick, it was revolutionary. Then Hollywood turned it into a legend. In 1986, Tom Cruise raced across screens aboard the GPZ 900R in Top Gun. Suddenly, the bike wasn't just a technical marvel. It was a symbol of speed, rebellion, and coolness. Dealers couldn't move units fast enough, and Kawasaki basked in a wave of global attention. On the road, the GPZ 900R lived up to its cinematic fame. It could hit over 150 miles per hour and was handled with precision, making it one of the first true modern superbikes. For several years, it ruled both magazines and sales charts. But motorcycle technology evolves fast. By the 1990s, sharper, lighter machines from every manufacturer pushed the GPZ aside. Once groundbreaking, it quickly looked dated. Kawasaki retired it in favor of new models, though its shadow lingers. Thanks to Top Gun, the GPZ 900R will always be remembered as more than just a bike. It became a cultural milestone. Number 9. Yamaha VMAX. The Yamaha VMAX roared into showrooms in 1985 and immediately redefined outrageous. With a 1,198 cubic centimeter V4 engine producing a staggering 145 horsepower, plus its signature V-Boost system that kicked in at higher revs, the VMAX was pure adrenaline on wheels. It looked the part too, with drag strip styling and a stance that screamed raw power. In the US, where bigger often meant better, the VMAX became a sensation. Riders loved its straight-line performance and brutish character. For many, it was less about cornering finesse and more about unleashing thunder down the boulevard. Early sales were strong, and Yamaha had built itself a cult hero. But the same qualities that defined the VMAX also limited it. Handling was never its strength, comfort was secondary, and long-distance practicality was almost non-existent. As sport bikes and refined cruisers gained ground in the 1990s, the VMAX began to feel like a one-trick pony. Yamaha attempted a revival in 2009 with a modernized version boasting even more power, but the market had shifted. Riders wanted versatility, not just raw muscle. The VMAX remains an icon of excess, celebrated for its audacity, even if its sales story eventually fizzled. Number 8. Ducati 916. In 1994, Ducati unveiled the 916, and the motorcycle world collectively paused. Designed by Massimo Tamburini, it was breathtakingly beautiful, with sculpted bodywork, under-seat exhausts, and a profile that looked like rolling sculpture. But it wasn't just about looks. The 916 dominated world superbike racing, cementing Ducati's reputation for blending artistry with performance. Underneath the design sat a 916 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled L-twin engine, delivering about 114 horsepower. Lightweight and razor-sharp, it handled with precision that stunned both riders and racers. Showrooms overflowed with enthusiasts who wanted not just a motorcycle, but a piece of art they could ride. For a few years, the 916 was Ducati's crown jewel. Sales were strong, accolades piled up, and posters of the bike adorned countless garage walls. It was more than a motorcycle, it became an object of desire. Yet, its reign was short. Ducati's finances struggled in the 90s, and the relentless pace of sport bike evolution meant the 916 was quickly succeeded by the 996 and 998. Each kept refining the formula, but none captured the same shock factor as the original. The 916 burned bright and fast, leaving behind an enduring design legacy still celebrated today. Number 7. Suzuki TL1000R. The late 1990s brought fierce competition in the superbike world, and Suzuki decided to challenge Ducati's V-twin dominance with the TL1000R. On paper, it looked like a winner, a 996 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled V-twin engine, race-inspired styling, and plenty of power to take on Italy's best. Excitement was high, and early interest suggested Suzuki had built a contender. In practice, things didn't go as planned. The TL1000R's unique rotary rear damper gave it unpredictable handling at the limit, unnerving riders who expected sharper control. Combined with a heavier frame than rivals, it struggled on the racetrack, where Ducati's bikes excelled. Enthusiasts who wanted a twin superbike soon realized the TL wasn't the competitive machine they'd hoped for. Sales dipped quickly. What had been hyped as Suzuki's twin-cylinder answer to European dominance became a short-lived experiment. By the early 2000s, the TL1000R disappeared from showrooms, remembered more for its quirks than its victories. Today, it enjoys a cult following among fans who appreciate its character and bold ambition. But in the broader story, the TL1000R stands as an example of a promising idea that never reached its full potential. It burned bright, then quietly faded. Number 6. Honda DN01. In 2008, Honda unveiled the DN01, a motorcycle that defied easy classification. It blended cruiser comfort, scooter convenience, and sport bike styling into one futuristic package. Riders and journalists couldn't help but take notice of its radical appearance. Honda even equipped it with the human-friendly transmission, a continuously variable system that offered automatic or manual modes at the push of a button. For a brief moment, showrooms saw a flurry of interest. The reality set in quickly. The DN01 looked like tomorrow's machine, but didn't ride like it. Its 680 cubic centimeter V-twin engine produced a modest 61 horsepower, leaving many underwhelmed. For a motorcycle weighing over 600 pounds, performance felt sluggish compared to competitors. Price didn't help either, as it cost significantly more than better-performing bikes in Honda's own lineup. That strange identity, too heavy to be a scooter, too tame to be a sport bike, too futuristic to be a cruiser, meant it struggled to find a long-term audience. Within just a couple of years, Honda pulled the plug. Today, the DN01 lives on as a curiosity, a reminder that bold experiments sometimes land with a thud. Collectors admire its uniqueness, but mainstream riders largely moved on. Number 5. Kawasaki Z1. The Kawasaki Z1 burst onto the scene in 1972 and immediately redefined performance standards. Powered by a 903 cubic centimeter four-cylinder engine, it delivered an impressive 82 horsepower and could hit speeds previously unheard of for a production motorcycle. With its combination of blistering performance, reliability, and attractive styling, the Z1 quickly became a sensation across markets. Dealers couldn't keep up with demand, and Kawasaki cemented itself as a powerhouse in the global motorcycle industry. It wasn't just fast, it was durable. Riders found the Z1 could handle daily use while still offering the thrill of outright speed. Magazines hailed it as the world's first true superbike, and competitors scrambled to catch up. For Kawasaki, it was the bike that transformed their reputation from a solid manufacturer to a leader of the performance era. Yet, time moves quickly in the motorcycle world. By the late 70s, newer Z-Series models with larger engines and updated technology began arriving. The original Z1, once groundbreaking, started to look dated against fresh designs. Production shifted toward successors, and the Z1 quietly faded from showrooms. Its reign may have been brief, but its influence shaped the superbike category for decades. Number 4. Buell Firebolt XB12R. The Buell Firebolt XB12R represented Eric Buell's vision of creating a uniquely American sport bike. Launched in the early 2000s, it combined Harley-Davidson backing with innovative engineering choices. Its 1,203 cubic centimeters V-twin engine delivered torque-rich performance, while features like a fuel-in-frame chassis and rim-mounted brake system highlighted Buell's unconventional approach to motorcycle design. Early sales reflected genuine curiosity, as riders were drawn to its fresh take on sport performance. The Firebolt wasn't just about specs, it looked distinctive too, with compact dimensions and aggressive styling. Enthusiasts praised its cornering stability and character, making it a standout in a crowded sport bike market dominated by Japanese and European brands. For a brief time, it seemed like Buell might carve out a permanent place in motorcycling history. But challenges mounted. Harley-Davidson, the company's parent, eventually lost interest in supporting the project. In 2009, Buell Motorcycles was shut down entirely, leaving the Firebolt without a future. Despite its promise, the XB12R couldn't survive the collapse. Today, it's remembered as a daring attempt to redefine what an American sport bike could be. Owners cherish them for their quirks and innovation, but the Firebolt remains a story of potential cut short. Number 3. Suzuki Hayabusa, first generation. When Suzuki launched the Hayabusa in 1999, it didn't just raise the bar, it shattered it. With a 1,299 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine and aerodynamic bodywork, the bike reached a top speed of 194 miles per hour, making it the fastest production motorcycle in the world. Its radical performance created an instant sensation. Riders flocked to showrooms, and the Hayabusa quickly became a bestseller. For speed enthusiasts, nothing else compared. The design was as memorable as the performance. Its bulbous, wind-cheating bodywork was controversial, but it worked. The Hayabusa wasn't just about straight-line velocity. It was stable, smooth, and surprisingly comfortable for long rides. For a time, it reigned supreme as the ultimate bragging rights machine. Then came the industry gentleman's agreement in 2000, where manufacturers capped top speeds at 186 miles per hour to avoid regulatory backlash. That agreement effectively took away the Hayabusa's unique selling point. While it remained powerful and desirable, its aura as the unrivaled speed king dimmed. Sales plateaued, and later models kept the name alive without the same shock factor. Still, the first-generation Hayabusa is legendary. Its short-lived dominance changed motorcycling forever, etching its name in history as the machine that forced everyone else to slow down. Number 2. Honda CBX. In 1978, Honda unveiled the CBX, a motorcycle that embodied ambition and engineering flair. At its heart was a 1,047 cubic centimeter inline-six engine, producing 105 horsepower with a sound that echoed like a Formula One car on two wheels. It wasn't just an engine, it was a statement. Riders and enthusiasts were captivated, and sales surged in the early years as the CBX grabbed headlines everywhere. The bike's technology was equally impressive. Despite cramming 6 cylinders across the frame, Honda managed to keep the design relatively slim. It had advanced features for the time, including air-assisted forks and Pro-Link rear suspension. For riders who wanted the most exotic machine on the road, the CBX delivered. But as practical ownership set in, the flaws became clear. The bike was heavy, thirsty, and expensive. Insurance costs climbed, and its complex engine intimidated many mechanics. For all its brilliance, it wasn't suited to everyday use. Sales declined rapidly, and Honda ended production in 1982. The CBX became a short-lived marvel, admired more as a showpiece than a practical machine. Today, collectors prize it for its rarity and engineering audacity, while its commercial story remains a lesson in excess. Number 1. Victory Motorcycles. Polaris launched Victory Motorcycles in 1998 with a bold goal: challenge Harley-Davidson in the cruiser and touring market. Early models like the V92C turned heads with their American-built credibility and modern engineering. By the mid-2000s, Victory had refined its lineup with stylish cruisers and big twin tourers that appealed to riders seeking alternatives to Harley's dominance. Sales climbed steadily, and the brand looked promising. Victory bikes gained a reputation for reliability, comfort, and strong performance. Their styling leaned contemporary rather than retro, which attracted a loyal niche. For a while, it seemed Polaris had successfully carved out a new American motorcycle identity. Yet despite 2 decades of effort, Victory never captured enough of the market to seriously threaten Harley-Davidson. Growth slowed, and in 2011, Polaris acquired Indian Motorcycles. With Indian offering stronger heritage and broader appeal, Victory's place in the lineup became redundant. In 2017, Polaris officially shut down Victory, ending its brief but eventful journey. Riders still admire the brand's innovation, and used models retain a loyal following. While it never achieved lasting dominance, Victory proved that bold ideas could briefly light up a crowded market before fading away. Motorcycles that explode in sales and then vanish leave behind fascinating stories. They're reminders that hype, timing, and design can carry a machine to the top. But long-term survival requires more than just a fast start. Each of these 15 bikes shows us how fleeting motorcycle fame can be, yet also how impactful even short-lived success can remain in the culture of riding. If you enjoyed this look back at motorcycles that made massive waves before disappearing, make sure to like this video, leave a comment sharing which bike surprised you the most, and subscribe for more deep dives into motorcycle history and culture.